My name is Colleen, and I'm 28 years old. This morning, my phone buzzed with a bank alert that made my blood run cold. $35,000, my entire savings for opening Sweet Dreams Bakery, had vanished from my account. The withdrawal slip showed my mother's signature. My hands shook as I realized the woman who raised me had stolen everything I'd worked for, and my sister Madison was in on it. Before I share what happened next, let me know where you're watching from today. Please hit that like button and subscribe if you want to hear how I caught them red-handed in their lies and got my revenge. For 5 years, I worked 3 jobs to save that money. Every morning at 4:30, I'd start my shift at the hospital as a registered nurse. By 3 in the afternoon, I'd rush to my second job at a medical clinic doing administrative work. Weekends meant catering gigs serving at weddings and corporate events until my feet ached and my back screamed. But I didn't care because each dollar brought me closer to my dream. Sweet Dreams Bakery was going to be my escape from the endless grind. I'd found the perfect location in downtown Denver, a cozy corner spot with large windows that would flood the space with morning light. The landlord, Mr. Peterson, had already agreed to hold it for me until March. I had everything planned out, from the vintage pink mixer I'd buy to the reclaimed wood shelves that would display fresh pastries. My mother, Jennifer, 52 years old with perfectly styled blonde hair and a smile that never quite reached her eyes, attended every planning meeting. She'd sit across from me at our kitchen table, reading through business proposals and vendor contracts. "I'm so proud of you, sweetheart," she'd say, patting my hand. "You're doing what I never could." Her words felt like warm honey, sweet and comforting. Madison, my 25-year-old sister, was different. While I worked myself to exhaustion, she lived at home sleeping until noon and spending her afternoons posting selfies on Instagram. Mother never asked her to get a job or contribute to household expenses. "Madison's still finding herself," Mother would explain whenever relatives questioned the arrangement. The golden child could do no wrong in her eyes. The joint account started innocently enough. 3 months ago, Mother had approached me with concern etched across her face. "What if something happens to you, Colleen? What if there's an emergency and you're unconscious in the hospital? Someone needs to be able to access your funds to help you." Her logic seemed sound at the time. She was my mother, after all. The woman who'd raised me, who'd taught me right from wrong. Adding her as a joint account holder felt like a reasonable precaution. Looking back, the red flags were everywhere. Mother started asking specific questions about my balance, always framed as innocent curiosity. "How close are you to your goal now?" she'd ask while folding laundry. "Will you have enough for the equipment and the first 6 months of rent?" Her interest seemed supportive, even maternal. The week before everything fell apart, her behavior shifted. She became intensely interested in my work schedule, asking about upcoming shifts and whether I had any vacation days planned. "You work too hard," she said one evening, stirring pasta sauce on the stove. "When's the last time you took a break?" Madison suddenly transformed into the sister I'd always wanted. She brought me coffee at work, complimented my hair, and even offered to help with bakery planning. "We should celebrate when you sign the lease," she suggested, her enthusiasm seemingly genuine. "Maybe a little family dinner." I was so touched by her sudden interest that I ignored the calculating look in her eyes. Sunday night, I went to bed feeling hopeful. The bakery was within reach. My family seemed supportive and life felt full of possibility. I had no idea that while I slept, my mother and sister were executing a plan they'd been crafting for 6 months. They'd waited patiently for my account to reach exactly the amount they needed for their grand adventure. Monday morning started like any other. I arrived at the hospital at 4:20, changed into my scrubs, and began my rounds. The pediatric ward was busy with 3 new admissions overnight. I was drawing medication for a 6-year-old patient when my phone vibrated in my pocket. Hospital policy prohibited checking phones during patient care, so I ignored it. 5 minutes later, it buzzed again. Then again. By the 4th notification, worry crept in. What if something had happened to grandmother? I excused myself to the supply closet and pulled out my phone. The screen showed multiple alerts from my bank. The first one stopped my heart. Withdrawal of $15,000 completed at 6 a.m. My fingers fumbled as I opened the banking app. The second alert appeared: withdrawal of $10,000 completed at 8 a.m. A third: withdrawal of $10,000 completed at 10 a.m. $35,000. Everything. Gone. I called the bank immediately, my voice shaking as I explained the situation to the representative. These withdrawals weren't authorized by me. This is fraud. That's my entire life savings. I understand your concern, ma'am, the representative responded after checking my account. However, the withdrawals were made by Jennifer Morrison, who is listed as a joint account holder. Technically, she has full legal access to these funds. The room spun. I gripped the metal shelf for support. But it's my money. I'm the only one who ever deposited anything into that account. I'm very sorry, ma'am. With joint accounts, both parties have equal access, regardless of who made the deposits. Was this person added without your knowledge? No, I admitted, my voice barely a whisper. I added her myself. My supervisor found me crying in the supply closet 10 minutes later. Karen, a woman who'd been nursing for 30 years and had seen everything, took one look at my face and sent me home. Family emergency, she told the charge nurse. I'll cover her patients. I drove straight to the bank branch on Colfax Avenue, bursting through the doors like a hurricane. The branch manager, Mr. Thompson, recognized me from my weekly deposits. His expression shifted from friendly to concerned when he saw my tear-stained face. I need to see the security footage from this morning's withdrawals, I demanded. Mr. Thompson led me to his office and pulled up the recordings on his computer. There she was, my mother, calm and composed at the ATM at 6 a.m. She wore her favorite blue jacket and had even styled her hair for the occasion. She withdrew the maximum daily limit, then returned 2 hours later for another round, and again 2 hours after that. The timestamp showed she'd hit multiple branches to bypass the daily limits. Is there anything you can do? I pleaded. This was theft. She took everything without telling me. Mr. Thompson's expression was sympathetic, but helpless. With a joint account, both parties have equal legal rights to the funds. Unless you can prove coercion or fraud in adding her to the account, our hands are tied. I can help you remove her from the account going forward and freeze what's left, but I can't reverse the withdrawals. What's left? I asked, though I already knew the answer. $8,000. It looks like that's all that remains. 8,000 out of 43,000. Years of sacrifice gone in a morning. I drove home in a daze, my mind struggling to process the betrayal. Our house felt different when I walked through the door, like the walls themselves knew what had happened. Mother's iPad sat on the coffee table, forgotten in her rush to leave. I picked it up, and it opened without a password. She'd never been good with technology. Her email was still open. The first message was a flight confirmation, 2 first-class tickets to Paris departing at 4 a.m. that morning. Jennifer Morrison and Madison Morrison. Purchased 3 days ago with my debit card information. My hands shook as I scrolled through more emails. Hotel reservations at the Four Seasons George V in Paris, the Hotel Hermitage in Monaco, the Burj Al Arab in Dubai. Each booking showed astronomical nightly rates that made my stomach churn. They'd planned a 2-month luxury tour of Europe and the Middle East, all funded by my bakery dreams. The WhatsApp web application was logged in on the browser. I clicked on the conversation between Mother and Madison, and what I found made bile rise in my throat. The messages went back 6 months, detailing their scheme in nauseating detail. Madison, 3 months ago. How much does she have saved now? Mother, about 25,000. We need to wait a bit longer. Madison. I already told Sophia and Emma I'd be in Paris for the summer. Mother. Patience, darling. She's saving faster now with that third job. Give it 3 more months. Madison, 1 month ago. She just posted about reaching 35,000. Is that enough? Mother. Perfect. I'll book everything this week. Remember, act normal. Be extra nice to her. Madison. She'll never suspect anything. She trusts you completely. Mother. That's what makes this so easy. She's always been too naive for her own good. The most recent exchange was from yesterday, Madison. All packed. Can't believe we're actually doing this. Mother, you deserve this, sweetheart. Colleen will be fine. She's young. She can save again. Madison, what if she gets upset? Mother, let her. We'll be in France. What can she do from Denver? I screenshotted everything, my fingers moving on autopilot while my mind reeled. They'd planned this. They'd watched me work myself into exhaustion, celebrated my milestones with me, all while planning to rob me blind. My first instinct was to call Mother directly. The phone rang once before going to voicemail. Her cheerful recorded voice made my skin crawl. Hi, you've reached Jennifer. I'm probably out living my best life. Leave a message. I tried Madison next. Same result. They'd turned off their phones or blocked my number already. I drove to Madison's apartment in Capitol Hill, breaking several traffic laws in the process. The building manager, Steve, was watering plants in the courtyard when I arrived. Hey, Colleen, he greeted me. Looking for Madison. She moved out this morning. 4 a.m., can you believe it? Had some guys with a truck loading up all her stuff. Moved out. My voice cracked. Where did she go? Didn't say. Gave me the keys and said her sublet tenant would be here tomorrow. Seemed in a real hurry. Everything okay? I couldn't answer. I ran up to Madison's apartment and tried the door. It was unlocked and completely empty. Not a stick of furniture remained. Even the shower curtain was gone. She'd planned this down to the last detail, arranging to sublet her apartment for extra spending money while they traveled. Her mail was scattered on the floor near the door, abandoned in her haste. Among the junk mail and catalogs, I found a printed travel itinerary that must have fallen from her bag. My hands trembled as I read through their plans. Paris for 2 weeks at the Four Seasons. Daily spa treatments, private tours of the Louvre, dinner reservations at Michelin-starred restaurants. Then on to Monaco for a week, where they'd booked a yacht day trip and tickets to the Monte Carlo casino. Dubai was next, with a helicopter tour and a 7-night stay in an underwater suite that cost more per night than I made in a month. Every detail screamed excess. They weren't just taking a vacation with my money. They were living out some twisted fantasy of wealth and luxury. The total estimated cost was staggering, well beyond the $35,000 they'd stolen. How did they plan to pay for the rest? I called my Aunt Patricia, Mother's sister. She answered on the second ring. Colleen, honey, your mom just called me from the airport. I'm so proud of you for gifting them this trip. That's incredibly generous. Gifting. The word tasted bitter. Aunt Patricia, what exactly did she tell you? That you surprised her and Madison with a European vacation as a thank you for all their support over the years. She was crying happy tears when she called. Said you insisted they go first class all the way. Aunt Patricia, I didn't gift them anything. They stole $35,000 from my bank account this morning. That was my bakery fund. Silence stretched across the line. Then, that can't be right. Jennifer would never. I have proof. Bank footage, screenshots of their messages planning this for 6 months. They waited until I saved enough, then took everything. Aunt Patricia's gasp was audible. Oh my God. She told everyone in the family about your gift. Posted about it on Facebook and everything. Robert James, even your grandmother knows. My Uncle Robert's reaction was worse. When I called him, he laughed at first, thinking I was joking. Your mother told us you were too modest to accept their thanks. Said you didn't want anyone making a fuss about your generosity. Uncle Robert, she stole from me. This wasn't a gift. His laughter died. She said you finally understood that family comes first. That you realized money isn't everything and wanted to give back to those who raised you. She stole my entire savings. Every penny I earned working 3 jobs for 5 years. Jesus Christ, he muttered. She even said you were happy to delay your bakery plans, because seeing them happy meant more to you than any business. My cousin Emma was the most helpful. She was Madison's age and followed her on Instagram. She's already posting from Paris, Emma told me over video call. She shared her screen showing Madison's stories. There was Madison, champagne glass in hand, standing on a hotel balcony overlooking the Eiffel Tower. Living my best life, the caption read, blessed and grateful. The next story showed shopping bags from Chanel, Hermes, and Louis Vuitton scattered across a king-sized bed. "When you have the best sister in the world," she'd written. Mother had posted too, though her account was usually dormant. A selfie in first-class champagne and caviar on the tray table. Finally getting what I deserve after all these years of sacrifice. Thank you to my wonderful daughter for making this possible. The comments were full of congratulations from family, friends, and distant relatives, all believing the lie. Each heart emoji and supportive message felt like salt in an open wound. "Emma, can you screenshot everything? I might need it as evidence." "Already on it," she replied. "Colleen, this is seriously messed up. What are you going to do?" "First, I'm freezing what's left of my account. Then I'm going to make sure they can't spend another penny of my money." The bank fraud department operated from a call center in Phoenix. After an hour on hold, I reached Angela, a specialist who listened to my entire story without interrupting. "I understand this is a difficult situation," Angela said when I finished. "While they had legal access to withdraw the funds as joint account holders, using the money under false pretenses and against your knowledge could constitute fraud. Let me see what we can do." She placed me on hold for 20 minutes. When she returned, her voice was more optimistic. "I've spoken with my supervisor. Given the evidence you've described and the suspicious nature of the withdrawals, we can freeze the remaining funds and all associated cards immediately. We'll also open a fraud investigation, though I can't guarantee we'll be able to recover the withdrawn funds. Please freeze everything now. They're in Paris spending my money as we speak." "Done. The account is now frozen and all cards have been deactivated. They won't be able to make any more purchases or withdrawals. You'll need to come to a branch tomorrow to set up a new individual account and transfer the remaining funds." Relief washed over me. $8,000 wasn't much, but at least they couldn't take that too. 4 hours later, my phone rang. Mother's photo appeared on the screen, the one from last Christmas where she wore the sweater I'd bought her. I let it ring twice before answering, making sure to start recording. "Colleen Marie Morrison." Her voice was shrill, panicked. "What have you done?" "Hello to you too, Mother. My card was just declined at Hermes. Do you have any idea how humiliating that was? There were people watching, important people. Your card. You mean my card that you stole. I didn't steal anything. I'm your mother. I have rights." Madison's voice echoed in the background. "Tell her to fix it now. The hotel wants a credit card on file." "You stole $35,000 from me," I said, keeping my voice steady. "That was my bakery fund. 5 years of savings. You can save again. You're young. But this is my only chance to live the life I deserve. Do you know what I've sacrificed for you? 28 years of putting you first. And this is how you repay me. By not letting you steal from me. It's not stealing. I raised you. I fed you, clothed. You put a roof over your head. You owe me everything. That money is rightfully mine. Mother, you stole from your own daughter. You planned this for 6 months. I have the messages between you and Madison." Silence. Then quieter, but more venomous. "You went through my private messages. You left your iPad at home. Everything was open. I know about the hotels, the yacht, all of it. Listen to me very carefully," Mother hissed. "You're going to unfreeze that account right now, or I'm calling the police. I'll tell them you're trying to steal from your elderly mother. I'll tell them you coerced me into putting my name on the account, and now you're holding my money hostage. You're 52, hardly elderly. And please do call the police. I have bank footage of you withdrawing the money, messages of you planning this theft. And I'm recording this call where you're admitting to taking it. I'm your mother. That doesn't give you the right to steal from me." Madison grabbed the phone. "Colleen, stop being such a selfish witch. We're stranded here. The hotel wants €6,000 for the room, and we can't pay. They're threatening to call the police." "You mean the underwater suite in Dubai? The one that costs more per night than most people make in a month? How did you—" "It doesn't matter. You need to fix this now." "No, I don't. You both made your choices. Deal with the consequences." "You don't understand." Madison continued, her voice rising to a hysterical pitch. "We told people here that we're wealthy Americans. Mother told them she owns a chain of boutiques. I said I was an influencer with millions of followers. If they find out we can't pay, we'll be ruined. Then you should have thought about that before stealing my money. Mother wrestled the phone back. Colleen, I'm not asking anymore. I'm demanding. Unfreeze the account, or I'll make your life hell. I'll call your job and tell them you're mentally unstable. I'll tell everyone you know that you're an ungrateful daughter who abandoned her family. I'll destroy you. Go ahead. I have nothing to hide. You, on the other hand, are criminals who stole $35,000. We're family. Family helps each other. Family doesn't steal from each other and run off to Europe. I'm giving you one last chance. Unfreeze the account or you'll regret it. No, and don't contact me again. I hung up and immediately blocked both their numbers. My hands were shaking, but I felt stronger than I had all day. They'd shown their true colors, and I had it all recorded. The next 48 hours were a masterclass in manipulation and escalation. Unable to reach me directly, Mother and Madison launched a full-scale attack on my life. It started with a fake police report. Mother somehow found a computer in Paris and filed an online report with the Denver Police Department claiming I'd stolen money from her elderly parents' savings. She painted herself as a vulnerable senior citizen whose daughter had manipulated her into sharing an account, then locked her out of her own funds while she was traveling abroad. A detective called me Tuesday afternoon. Miss Morrison, we received a concerning report about elder financial abuse. We need you to come to the station. I brought everything: bank statements showing 5 years of my deposits, and not a single one from Mother, the screenshots of their planning messages, the recording of our phone call, and the bank's fraud report. Detective Martinez reviewed everything carefully. Ma'am, your mother is 52. That's not elderly by any legal definition. Also, these bank records clearly show you're the sole depositor. If anything, you're the victim here. Can I file charges against them? For the withdrawal, unfortunately, no. Joint account holders have legal access. But this false police report, that's a crime. Do you want to pursue that? I declined. I just wanted them out of my life. The social media assault began next. Madison, from her Instagram account with 12,000 followers, posted a series of stories painting me as an abusive sister who'd promised them a trip, then vindictively canceled everything out of jealousy. My own sister left us stranded in a foreign country with no money, she sobbed in a video carefully filmed in the hotel's opulent bathroom. We're scared and alone, and she won't even answer our calls. The comments ranged from supportive to skeptical. Some of her followers bought the act, sending heart emojis and calling me horrible names. Others questioned why she was in such a luxurious hotel if she was truly stranded. Mother took a different approach. She called my employer, Denver General Hospital, and spoke to the HR department. She claimed I was having a mental breakdown, that I'd stolen money from her, and was using my position as a nurse to access drugs. My supervisor, Karen, called me immediately. Colleen, HR wants to meet with you. Your mother called with some serious allegations. The meeting was mortifying. I had to sit in a sterile conference room and explain the entire situation to 3 HR representatives while they took notes. Thankfully, I'd brought my evidence folder. This is clearly a personal family matter, the HR director concluded after reviewing everything. Your mother's allegations are unfounded and appear retaliatory. However, we need to document this in case she escalates. Word spread through the hospital quickly. Some colleagues offered support. Others gave me pitying looks. The whispers followed me through the hallways. That's the one whose mom robbed her. Mother's next move was recruiting flying monkeys from our extended family. My phone rang constantly with relatives who'd been fed different versions of the story. Grandmother called Wednesday morning crying. Colleen, your mother says you've disowned us. She says you hate her for being poor and that you're punishing her for not being successful like you. Grandma, that's not true. She stole $35,000 from me. She says you gave it to her, then changed your mind out of spite. I drove to grandmother's assisted living facility with my evidence folder. At 83, she was sharp as ever, just sometimes confused by technology. When I showed her the bank statements and messages, her expression hardened. That little witch, she muttered, and I realized she wasn't talking about me. I knew something was off when she called. She was too emotional, too dramatic. Just like when she was a teenager and would lie about where she'd been. You believe me. Honey, I've known Jennifer for 52 years. I know when she's lying. Plus, she asked me for money last month, said she needed it for home repairs. Now I know what she really wanted it for. The family divide was swift. Aunt Patricia, Uncle Robert, and most cousins sided with me after seeing the evidence. But Mother had convinced her brother James and his wife that I was having a mental crisis, and they bombarded me with messages about getting help. The unexpected ally came from Madison's ex-boyfriend, Tyler. He reached out Wednesday evening through Facebook Messenger. Colleen, I just wanted you to know I had no idea about any of this. Madison told me you were funding the trip as an apology for missing her birthday last year. When I saw her Instagram stories, and then yours, I realized she'd lied to me. We've been together 2 years, and I'm just now seeing who she really is. Tyler, I'm sorry you got caught up in this. Don't apologize. You're the victim here. I actually wanted to tell you something that might help. Madison told me once that your mom has major credit card debt, like $50,000 worth. She's been hiding it from everyone paying minimums with her retirement withdrawals. The puzzle pieces clicked. They didn't just want a vacation. They were planning to pay off Mother's debts with my money, too. Tyler continued, I broke up with her an hour ago, did a video call so she could see my face when I told her I knew everything. She tried to cry and manipulate me, but I ended it. She's not the person I thought she was. Meanwhile, the situation in Paris was deteriorating. Without access to my funds, Mother and Madison couldn't maintain their facade of wealth. Mother had apparently promised to pay for group dinners with some American expats she'd met at the hotel bar, telling them she was a successful boutique owner. When her card declined at dinner Wednesday night, the truth began unraveling. One of the women, Sandra, found me on Facebook and messaged me. Are you Jennifer Morrison's daughter, the one with the bakery? Your mother has been telling us all about how successful you are and how you're funding her retirement travel. But something seems off. She can't pay for anything suddenly and is making wild excuses. I sent Sandra a brief explanation with some screenshots. Her response was swift. Oh my God, we've been having drinks with criminals. Don't worry, we're cutting them off immediately. The hotel situation reached critical mass Thursday morning. The Hotel Hermitage in Monaco, where they'd checked in after Paris, called me directly. They'd found my number as an emergency contact on Madison's reservation. Mademoiselle Morrison, this is Henri from the Hotel Hermitage. We have a situation with your mother and sister. Their credit card has been declined, and they owe 6,000 euros for their suite and services. They're refusing to leave the room, and we're prepared to involve the police. They're not my responsibility. They stole money from me to fund this trip. Please do involve the police. I see. Thank you for clarifying. We'll handle this according to French law. I heard later from Sandra that Mother and Madison were escorted from the hotel by security, their luxury shopping bags confiscated as collateral for the unpaid bill. They were forced to seek help at the U.S. Embassy, where they had to admit they had no funds to get home. The embassy, following protocol, provided them with an emergency loan for basic economy flights back to Denver. No first-class champagne this time, just middle seats in coach funded by taxpayers they'd now have to repay. During all of this, Mother sent emails from various internet cafes, each one more unhinged than the last. You've ruined everything. We're being treated like criminals. Madison is crying nonstop. You've destroyed your sister's mental health. I'll never forgive you for this humiliation. You're no daughter of mine. When I get back, you'll pay for this. I forwarded each one to the detective handling the false police report, building a paper trail of harassment. By the time their flight landed in Denver on Friday afternoon, I was ready. I'd changed the locks at the family home, where we'd all lived together, a house I'd been paying the mortgage on for 3 years while Mother claimed she was contributing. I'd also used my power of attorney granted 2 years ago when Grandmother had a minor stroke to move her to a better assisted living facility on my side of town, away from Mother's influence. Mother discovered the changed locks when the Uber dropped them off from the airport. She'd assumed she could walk back into the house like nothing had happened. Instead, she found her belongings in boxes on the front porch with a note, "Find somewhere else to live. The free ride is over." The neighbors watched from their windows as Mother screamed and pounded on the door. Mrs. Chen from next door later told me Mother had tried to break a window before Madison pulled her away. They loaded what they could into another Uber and disappeared. Madison's return to her apartment was equally harsh. The sublet tenant had already moved in, paying rent directly to the landlord. Madison had no home to return to and no money for a hotel. Her carefully curated Instagram life was crumbling in real time. She posted a tearful video from a McDonald's claiming she was homeless because of her cruel sister. The comments were brutal. Her followers had seen through the lies, and her influencer dreams died with her credibility. She lost 3,000 followers in one day. Mother and Madison ended up at a Motel 6 on Federal Boulevard, paying with Mother's last working credit card that was nearly maxed out. From there, they launched their final offensive, a smear campaign among Mother's church community. Mother had been attending Riverside Baptist Church for 20 years. She called Pastor David and several church friends, spinning a tale of a daughter who'd abandoned her Christian values and left her family destitute out of greed. But grandmother, sharp as ever, beat her to it. She'd called Pastor David herself and explained the real situation. When Mother showed up for Sunday service expecting sympathy and possibly financial help, she found cold shoulders and whispers instead. Pastor David pulled her aside after the service. "Jennifer, I've heard concerning things about theft and bearing false witness. Perhaps you should seek guidance through prayer and reflection before returning to our congregation." The job market was equally unforgiving. Madison, who'd never worked a day in her life, suddenly needed income. Her first job interview was at a Target near our old neighborhood. The manager coincidentally was married to one of my nursing colleagues who'd heard the whole story. Madison didn't get the job. She finally found work at a call center doing customer service for minimum wage. The girl who'd posted about designer bags and champagne was now wearing a headset for 8 hours a day, getting yelled at by angry customers. Mother's situation was worse. At 52, with no recent work history and a reputation destroyed by her own actions, she couldn't find anything beyond part-time retail work. The woman who'd stolen money to live like a queen was folding clothes at TJ Maxx for $11 an hour. Their reputations in Denver were thoroughly destroyed. The story had spread through social media, neighborhood groups, and word of mouth. They became cautionary tales, whispered about at coffee shops and PTA meetings. Harold, Mother's boyfriend of 3 years, dumped her via text message after seeing the evidence I'd posted on Facebook. "I can't be with someone who would steal from their own child," he wrote. "Don't contact me again." Even their attempt to find new housing was sabotaged by their own actions. Every landlord who Googled their names found the social media drama. 3 rental applications were rejected before they finally found a sketchy studio apartment in Aurora that didn't do background checks. Meanwhile, I was rebuilding. The trauma of betrayal cut deep, but I refused to let it define me. I started therapy with Dr. Rachel, a specialist in family trauma and narcissistic abuse. "Your mother shows classic signs of narcissistic personality disorder," Dr. Rachel explained during our 3rd session. "The entitlement, the lack of empathy, the willingness to exploit others for personal gain. And Madison appears to be the golden child in this dynamic, enabled and encouraged in her worst behaviors." Why didn't I see it sooner? Because you were raised in it. This was your normal. The fact that you're breaking free now shows incredible strength. Therapy helped me understand the patterns I'd been blind to my entire life. How Mother had always taken credit for my achievements while blaming me for any failures. How she'd trained me from childhood to put her needs first, to see my own dreams as secondary to family obligations. The golden child dynamic with Madison became crystal clear. While I was working 3 jobs, Madison was praised for simply existing. While I paid the bills, Madison was protected from any responsibility. Mother had created one daughter to be her servant and another to be her mirror. But understanding didn't mean forgiveness. Some betrayals cut too deep, and some relationships couldn't be salvaged. 3 months after the theft, the bank investigation concluded. They'd recovered $12,000 from the frozen accounts and fraudulent charges that could be reversed. It wasn't everything, but it was enough to restart my dream. I found a smaller space for the bakery, a cozy spot in a strip mall that needed work but had potential. The landlord, Mrs. Kim, was a Korean grandmother who loved my sample pastries and offered me a discount on rent for the first year. Second Chance's Bakery felt like the right name. It represented my new start, but also the philosophy I wanted to build into the business. I hired formerly homeless individuals who were getting back on their feet, people who understood what it meant to rebuild from nothing. The community embraced us immediately. Word had spread about what happened to me, and customers came not just for the pastries, but to support someone who'd survived betrayal and chosen to help others. A food blogger wrote about us. Second Chance's Bakery serves more than excellent croissants and life-changing cinnamon rolls. It serves hope proof that sometimes the best recipes come from the most bitter ingredients. We were profitable within 2 months. The young woman who'd been robbed by her own mother was now a successful business owner employing 6 people and expanding our menu weekly. Mother and Madison continued their attempts to contact me. Letters arrived weekly at the bakery, oscillating between guilt trips and rage. Mother wrote about her sacrifices as a parent, the money she'd spent raising me, the dreams she'd given up. Madison wrote about how I'd ruined her life, destroyed her relationships, and condemned her to poverty. I had my lawyer send them a cease and desist letter. When they violated it, I got a restraining order. They were legally barred from contacting me or coming within 500 feet of me, my home, or my business. The last I heard through the family grapevine, Mother was being sued by 3 credit card companies for defaulting on her debts. Her plan to use my money to pay them off had failed, and now she faced bankruptcy at 52. Madison had been evicted from the studio apartment after missing rent and was couch surfing with the few friends who still tolerated her. Grandmother thrived in her new facility. Without Mother's toxic influence and constant requests for money, she seemed younger, happier. She visited the bakery every Sunday, holding court at a corner table, telling customers she was my biggest investor, even though she'd never given me a dime. "I invested love," she'd say. "That's worth more than money." My chosen family grew. Karen from the hospital became a mentor. My therapy group became my support system. Regular customers became friends. The employees I'd hired, people who understood betrayal and redemption, became my closest allies. One of them, Marcus, a recovering addict who'd been homeless for 2 years before getting clean, told me something that stuck. The people who hurt you thought they were taking everything, but they only took money. You still had your work ethic, your dreams, your character. They took paper and left you with gold. Looking back 1 year later, I can see how that $35,000 was both the worst and best thing that happened to me. It was the price I paid for freedom from a toxic family system that would have drained me forever. Mother had stolen my savings, but she'd inadvertently given me something priceless: clarity. I saw her for who she really was, not the mother I'd wished for, or the victim she pretended to be, but a narcissist who viewed her children as resources to exploit. Madison had revealed herself too. The sister I'd hoped would one day grow up and become my friend was actually a parasite groomed from birth to believe she deserved everything while contributing nothing. The money they stole would have built my first bakery, but losing it built something better: my backbone. Every boundary I set, every manipulative message I ignored, every flying monkey I shut down, strengthened parts of me I didn't know existed. In therapy, Dr. Rachel asked me to write a letter to my past self, the girl who trustingly added her mother to her bank account. This is what I wrote. "Dear past Colleen, in 3 months you're going to lose everything you saved. Your mother and sister will betray you in the cruelest way possible. You'll feel stupid for trusting them, weak for not seeing it coming, and broken by the loss. But here's what you can't see yet: you're going to survive this. More than survive, you're going to thrive. The bakery you'll build will be smaller, but entirely yours. The family you'll lose will be replaced by people who actually love you. The boundaries you'll learn to set will protect you for the rest of your life. That $35,000 isn't a loss, It's tuition for the most important education you'll ever receive, the knowledge of your own strength. The bakery now employs 12 people. We've been featured in 3 national magazines and have plans to open a second location. Every employee has a story of redemption, of second chances seized and transformed into success. I hired a young woman last month, Ashley, who reminded me of myself. She'd been working 3 jobs to save for college when her stepfather stole her savings. She cried during the interview, apologizing for being emotional. "Never apologize for feeling deeply," I told her. "It means you're still soft in a world that tried to make you hard. That's not weakness, it's courage." She starts training as our assistant manager next week. Like me, like all of us at Second Chances, she's learning that sometimes the greatest gifts come wrapped in the worst betrayals. Mother and Madison still live in Denver, though our paths never cross. The restraining order ensures that, but honestly, I don't think they'd approach me anyway. They're ghosts of a life I no longer live, reminders of who I might have remained if they hadn't shown me who they really were. Sometimes late at night when I'm preparing dough for the next morning's pastries, I think about them. Not with anger anymore or even sadness, but with something closer to pity. They traded a lifetime relationship with someone who loved them for a 2-week vacation they couldn't even finish. They chose luxury hotels over family designer bags, over trust champagne over love. In trying to steal my dream, they lost their security. In attempting to live like queens, they became paupers. In betraying the person who would have helped them anyway, they lost the only stable, hard-working person in their lives. But mostly I don't think about them at all. My life is too full, too rich with real relationships and meaningful work. The girl who once worked 3 jobs to save every penny is now a business owner who pays living wages and offers second chances. The daughter who trusted too easily is now a woman with healthy boundaries and deep intuition. That $35,000 they stole. It was nothing compared to what I've built since. Revenue last month was $42,000. We donated 10% to a shelter for financial abuse victims. The woman who stole from me to live in luxury for 2 weeks is now broke while I'm building generational wealth and community change. The greatest revenge wasn't freezing their accounts or exposing their lies, or even watching them fall from their pedestals. The greatest revenge was building a beautiful life without them proving that their betrayal was my beginning, not my end. Grandmother visited yesterday with her new boyfriend from the senior center. She ordered her usual, a chocolate croissant and lavender latte, and watched me work with pride shining in her eyes. "You know what the difference is between you and your mother?" she asked suddenly. "What's that, Grandma?" "You understand that money is a tool, not a goal. Your mother thought stealing money would give her the life she wanted. You knew that earning money was just the first step to building the life you deserved." She was right. Mother and Madison had seen my savings as their ticket to happiness, believing that $35,000 could buy them new identities as wealthy, important people. But happiness isn't found in first-class flights or designer bags or 5-star hotels. It's found in purpose, in relationships built on trust, in work that matters. They're probably somewhere right now, still blaming me for their misfortune, still believing they were victims of my cruelty, rather than architects of their own destruction. That's fine. Let them tell whatever story helps them sleep in their studio apartment while I rest peacefully in the home I bought with my bakery profits. The money was meant to build my dream, and in a way, it did just not the way I planned. It built me a life free from manipulation, a business born from resilience, and a future where I choose who deserves my trust. Every morning when I unlock the bakery doors and smell fresh bread and coffee, when my employees arrive with smiles and stories of their own progress, when customers tell me our pastries made their day better, I know the truth. I didn't lose anything that mattered. I gained everything that does. Second Chances Bakery isn't just about the food we serve or the people we employ. It's a monument to survival proof that betrayal doesn't have to break you, evidence that sometimes the worst people in your life accidentally do you the biggest favor by showing you exactly who they are. That $35,000 was a small price to pay for freedom, clarity, and the discovery of my own strength. Mother and Madison thought they were stealing my future. Instead, they funded my transformation from victim to victor, from daughter to independent woman, from dreamer to achiever. And that's the beautiful irony of their betrayal. In trying to destroy me, they created me. The woman I am today, successful, boundaried, and free, exists because of what they did. Not in spite of it, but because of it. So if I could go back, if I could warn myself not to add mother to that account, I wouldn't. Every single thing that happened, as painful as it was, led me here. And here is exactly where I'm supposed to be. The money they stole is gone forever, spent on a fantasy that turned into a nightmare. But what I built from the ashes of their betrayal will last a lifetime. Second Chance's Bakery, my chosen family, my hard-won wisdom, these are worth more than any amount of money. And somewhere in a rundown studio apartment or a minimum wage job they hate, Mother and Madison know it too. They see my success on social media, hear about it from family members they can no longer manipulate, and realize they traded everything for nothing. That's not revenge. That's justice. And it tastes sweeter than any pastry we've ever baked. To anyone watching this who's been betrayed by family, who's had their trust shattered and their savings stolen, who's wondering if they'll ever recover from the financial and emotional devastation, let me tell you something: you will. Not only will you recover, you'll build something better than what was taken. The money can be earned again. The dreams can be rebuilt. But the freedom from toxic people, the clarity about who really loves you, the strength you'll develop, those are priceless. My mother spent my $35,000 on a secret trip, thinking she was taking my future. Instead, she gave me the most expensive gift of all: the knowledge that I never needed her, that I was always enough on my own, and that sometimes the best thing that can happen is for the worst people to leave your life. And that's worth every penny they stole and more. What about you? Have you ever had family betray your trust with money? How did you handle it, and what did you learn from the experience? I'd love to hear your stories in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content about overcoming betrayal and building success from scratch. Share this video with anyone who needs to hear that there's life after family betrayal, beautiful, successful, peaceful life. Thank you for watching, and remember, sometimes the people who try to break you are actually setting you free.